What up, everybody? You are back in tune with another episode of In the Fields podcast. It is your host, Johnny, with my lovely, beautiful, amazing, wonderful wife, Lisa. And yeah, guys, we are back with another episode. Happy New Year as well, guys. I'm pretty sure we already said this, but yeah, just again, I'm a little off, man. The snowstorm has kind of had me a little bit all over. I'm a little tired. I'm a little exhausted as well. But yeah, man, we're here, dude. We're here, we're cooking, and we're exploring all the feels, man. We're exploring all the ins and outs of just being, emotionally aware, mentally aligned, spiritually in tuned, and yeah, I feel like that's kind of like our feng shui, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, guys, on this episode we are going to take a deep dive into what changes when you stop explaining yourself. I really like this one because I think oftentimes like we get stuck over explaining ourselves, in search of like acceptance or like to avoid conflict and things of that nature. But before we like dive too deep into it, I wanted to start this episode with a little game of just, finish the sentence and we'll kind of go back and forth. I know we've prepped like two for each other. Where, you'll start it and I'll finish it, and then I'll start it and then you finish it. Then, yeah, if you want to start off, you want to hit me first?
Yeah. All right. So the sentence that I'm going to give to you that you can finish is, I used to think if I didn't explain myself, people would think that I was
rude, or either rude or just not knowledgeable about whatever it is we were talking about. Or maybe, let me see, I'm going to read it from the beginning. So I used to think if I didn't explain myself, people would think I was, rude is probably one of them. So I feel like that's part of the reason like I would over explain myself, is because, sometimes like when you don't speak, people often feel like you're short or disconnected. And like I always feel like I don't want to create that weird distance. I don't want this to be some weird vibe. Yeah, like I don't want it to be a weird vibe. Or I would feel like, I used to think if I didn't explain myself, people would think I was not willing to be like a part of the community type of vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, when I feel like oftentimes I associate the need to explain myself with being like, I guess a lot of it had to do with the desire, I guess, for acceptance, like I would have to over explain things, or maybe it's to avoid conflict, but just a bunch of different stuff, like I guess to avoid friction in general, you know what I mean? Whether it's people, and I guess that's part of me just assuming people's thoughts and people's feelings, and like, maybe sometimes like I feel like oftentimes too, I don't want to get the wrong impression of people. So, it would be nice for them to sometimes explain what the fuck be going through their mind when they do certain things. So like oftentimes I feel like I have to do that as well, because I don't want people to assume the wrong intention of me as well.
I could see that.
So I guess it's just like, that's a pretty open-ended one, but that's definitely a lot of the reasons I feel like I have to explain myself, because, shit gets lost in translation. People can assume intent. People can...
That's the biggest one for me.
Yeah, it's like, while I am writing my own story of life and I am the author of my own story, like everybody else that's watching are the readers. So oftentimes, like, while I know the intent of myself and while I know what the fuck I'm doing in my book, because I am my own main character, oftentimes the viewers or the readers of this book of life that I'm the author of, they might misinterpret things. So oftentimes I feel like I need to explain myself or like add cliff notes to my story so people don't fuck it up or, misinterpret.
Like it's situational too.
For sure. Oh yeah, man. I like that. That was good. That one was very thought provoking and had my mind going.
Had the
gears turning. All right. So the next one that I got for you is, the hardest part of the change was realizing I don't actually owe anyone a
actual explanation. And like I said, like what you were going off of what you were saying, like it's situational. Like, you know, a lot of times where I do feel like, yes, an explanation may be necessary, there are a lot of moments where it's not. Just simple as that.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, I definitely agree too, just because it is kind of the most difficult part of the change because, again, the over-explaining or needing to explain myself, it comes from a point of wanting, it's like, I feel like it's necessary for connection, or I felt like that until recently. Like now, I'm going to just get my shit off, and then that's it. That's once I said it, it's said.
Well, it's something that I'm still learning, and I feel like a lot of it is emotionally based, because when emotions are heightened and you feel the need to defend yourself, those are a lot of the times you catch yourself over explaining, and you basically word vomit where you're coming from, and a lot of the time it's not even necessary to do that. Like, the other person might not even give a fuck about where you're coming from. Like, sometimes facts are just facts, and I don't need a full 8-page, you know, explanation of X, Y, and Z. Like, sometimes I just need the facts, and that's it. So that's something that I'm still learning how to do.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I like that, man. I like that. What else you got for me?
All right, so the other one I had for you is the part of myself that I got back when I stopped justifying my life is...
Really just the freedom and the blissful enjoyment of life. I just felt like when I was worried about justifying shit or like feeling the need to either justify it or explain it, again, it came from a point of desiring acceptance. So within that, it's like, okay, if I don't have a justification or an explanation for this, if somebody judges it and they judge it in a way that isn't good, then like I need to make sure I have an explanation so that they can understand, and I need to justify it to them so that they can understand the things that... Once I stopped thinking like that, I just stopped giving a fuck. Like now I just kind of do what brings me happiness and brings me joy, and I focus on just ensuring that I'm not overly concerned with anybody's assumption or perspective on what I got going on. I don't need to justify what I'm doing to you. If it doesn't directly impact you, then it doesn't matter, bro. I don't need to justify shit to you or to anybody who watches what I do. If I feel good about it, I feel good about it. That's it. I'm doing what makes me happy. I'm doing what brings me peace. I'm doing this podcast with my wife, building a comic and manga with my son. Like, I'm taking care of me and mine. Yeah. And at the end of the day, like, that's what I felt like I really got back when I stopped justifying myself or stopped explaining myself to people. Like, I don't need to, bro. I'm doing what makes me feel good right now. I'm doing what I can, of course, and I'm doing what I want as well.
And staying out of trouble.
And I'm staying out the motherfucking way. So, yeah, man, I just think that's so important. Like, that was one of the biggest things I felt like I got back because of the fact that it brings me now this blissful enjoyment. Like, I don't need to, like, my enjoyment doesn't need to be curated based on the judgment that other people may cast. Now I can just do what I actually enjoy. Whether it's doing this, which is great for us and great for our connection and great for the betterment of us and the people who listen and things of that nature, or if it's doing the shit with Jonathan that's low-key healing my fucking inner child. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you get so excited.
Bro, I get so fucking hype, and it's good. Like, so it's just like, I don't know. To me, it's like, that to me is, that's it, you know? That's what I got back. I got back being able to enjoy myself. And being able to be happy about the choices that I make and doing it for me, not because of what other people are going to think, not because of what other people might see me as, or because it's better for me. And that's as simple as that. I don't need to provide an explanation. I don't need to justify it. It's just because it feels good for me.
I love that.
So hell yeah. All right. I got one more for you, and then we'll give them a word from our sponsors. All right, so the last one I got is, I still catch myself explaining when ... This one's tough.
I mean, it ties in with the other one where I definitely catch myself still doing that when I'm in a high emotional state. And that's what I'm still working on and still learning how to, take those steps back and just it be what it be and not feel the need to draw it out or make things more than what it is. Like, I don't need to add to it by feeling the need to over explain myself. So that's something I'm still working on. Still haven't mastered it yet. But definitely when I'm in those higher emotional states, do I catch myself still doing that?
Yeah, no, I feel that. I'm the same way. I think for me personally, it becomes dominantly provoked, especially when it's with people I give a fuck about. Like, the more I love you and the more I care, the more willingly I will offer explanation or justification, because, again, it's not because of what I think you'll think. It's because I want to just not leave any room for error or like any room for discrepancies or any room for contradiction. I am very, like you said, facts. Let's cover all the bases. And oftentimes I do that, especially with people I care about and I love about. So that's when I'm like over explaining usually.
Yeah. Like, for example, like I was going to mention how like, I think it was like last week, when that whole dinner mishap thing happened. Like, I could have just been like, yo, babe, I'm sorry. And just, it was what it was. But instead, I was already in a higher emotional state when it started. And it's like the tip of the iceberg for me. So then I got into this whole explanation to you, which all of what I explained didn't really matter. You know what I mean? Like, I could have just been like, yo, babe, I'm sorry, XYZ, I got you, 10 minutes, whatever. Like, and just been right to the point. But instead, I took this whole detour route and got myself even more worked up, feeling the need to over-explain to you the situation and break down every little thing to you when that was so unnecessary. You know what I mean?
I feel you.
So it's just like stuff like that like could be avoided had I just been straight to the point.
Yeah, and I just think it's easier too, because like, again, it becomes like word salad and like just fucking.
That was a good, yeah.
It becomes a lot of just, again, like you said, it's not that it necessarily doesn't matter, but like we're just adding a lot of fluff, and it just, again, I would rather be direct with you, what I mean, and rather just let's figure it out, you know what I mean? Problem. Address the problem. Let's come up with solution. Let's make it happen. We good. I love you, so we're fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I love that.
Hell yeah. Real quick, you got to try this, because if not, I'm going to pound it. It's fucking delicious. I know we only have one of every flavor, so I want to give you the opportunity to try it. It's good. It's good. It's what I imagine like actual pink lemonade would be. Like, this gives me like that vibe. I don't remember what flavor this is.
I'm going to actually pull up the menu. I think that's pink tropical punch.
It's delicious. But before we get into the rest of the episode, guys, we're gonna give you a word from our sponsors. Y'all already know the vibes, baby. Oula-Lade. Already finished a bottle on set. Got some more backups because they're so delicious. I know you weren't ready, but what you know what the rule is, baby. As long as you stay ready, you don't gotta get ready. Man. That's how good Oula-Lade is. It's got me so excited, guys, because it's so fucking delicious. These flavors are so unique. They pack a punch every single time, and the best part about it is all natural ingredients, made with love, fresh squeezed. I mean, dude, I'm literally getting this off the pickup. I pull up, bro didn't even have time to slap a label on it because of how fresh it was. Like, I got it straight from the source, straight from the nectarine. I don't know what else to call it, but I do have to say, this is honestly delicious. The best lemonade I ever had. I'm so glad that these guys are our sponsors because they're the best lemonade in the world. Make sure you guys,
amazing people too.
Oh, that's also a fact. And again, that's where we get the made with love, because you've got to have it's in the hands, like, you know what I mean? It's like you've got to be a loving person to make lemonade this delicious. Again, guys, it's Oula-Lade. Make sure you guys go follow them on Instagram at Oula_Lade. Again, it's at Oula_Lade. Tell them Johnny and Lisa sent you, the official drink sponsor of In the Fields podcast, the only drink sponsor of In the Fields podcast. We appreciate you guys. And back to our episode. Ready?
Yeah.
I thought you were about to start battle rapping. You were like, yeah, I was like, yo, is some 8 Mile shit about to happen right now? You're like, everybody from the 313, put your motherfucker. I was like, yo, what the fuck? Were you burping? Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Okay.
You should keep that in, though, because that was funny.
No, bro, I thought that was about to happen, dude. I was like, yo, if y'all saw her, she was like y'all got that on footage. Anyway, we are back, guys. Welcome back to another episode of In the Fields podcast. And again, guys, we're taking that deep dive into, the changes that happen when you stop explaining yourself. And I think it's cool, to, start at even why we explain ourselves, like why we often get caught into I don't know what to refer to it as. It's just kind of like, I don't want to call it a problem, but I guess the feeling the need to explain ourselves.
I think it's an innate need for most people. Like, I feel like mine mainly stems from, like, for me personally, is my childhood, because it's almost like no matter what it was about, I always needed to provide my mom some type of explanation.
And it had to be fucking foolproof,
Fully.
Which we learned that kids' brains aren't even fucking developed enough.
I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about.
Kids' brains aren't even developed enough to be able to do that. Like, we don't fully develop until the ages of like 28 and 34 or some shit. And that age, because I think women are their brains.
25, your brain fully develops.
Okay, I thought for men it was like 30.
I think men is later, but generally your brain itself fully develops by
So it's
age
like,
25.
like, remember being like 10 and be like, and you better tell me every fucking thing and don't you leave a fucking detail out. And you're like, I don't know. Because you actually don't fucking know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. Just like.
But I think that's where the habit starts. So then you just carry that through all of your relationships. And I think a big thing for me was that emotional safety feeling of protecting my relationships and the need for wanting to be understood, because I think that plays a big part too, because as kids, if you gave an explanation and your mom or your dad, they weren't having it, in your head at that time, you're like, but I told you.
Yeah, and now it doesn't seem like now it wasn't detailed enough, so then you start bringing that with you, like,
I have to literally,
I've got to like timestamp this shit.
Everything.
Yeah, and I've got to be extremely
and
thorough.
I think that's why, like, even like the example that I gave earlier, that's why I feel like a lot of the time when I go into those moments with you, my time don't be making sense. But
Nope.
in my head, it does.
Nope.
Does that make sense? Like, for me, the way I'm explaining it, it makes sense to me. But then, like, afterwards, like, when you break it down back to me, I'm like, oh. Like, but in my head, it didn't, like, I didn't process it that way. Does that make sense?
No, I hear you 1,000,000%. I hear you 1,000,000,000%. For me too, not only does the childhood shit, I think, play a big factor into the need of, or into, gaining the need to explain yourself. But I also think too, relationships, especially the early ones, when you're young, when you deal with somebody who is like, when you deal with somebody who has trust issues, I think that
it's like almost expected.
That triggers the need to over-explain yourself. When you're with somebody who has trust issues, they're constantly questioning you.
They need every detail.
They're questioning everything you do. And it's not even just every detail. They're just questioning the ins and outs, the ifs, the whens, the whats. They're questioning like everything. So then again, it's like, you get stuck in this habit you get stuck in this
like loop.
And you kind of almost, you get stuck in this weird sense of like normalcy too. Like it becomes something that you now associate with relationships.
Because you don't even think about it. Like it just, for you, it just innately happens.
Yeah. And then it's like, it's definitely happened between us. Like there's times where like I've done, and you'd be like, well, baby, you didn't have to do all that. Or like, you know what I mean? And I'll be like, I know, but I just, and then I thought this and I want to, and then you're like, You know what I mean? You didn't have to. You know what I mean? Like, you're so cute. Like, you know what I mean? And we've done that because of just the like, again, the like, it's a sensitive fucking thing to navigate because we are so conditioned to feel like, yo, like, if I don't over explain myself, or if I don't at least offer enough explanation, I could be leaving room for improper interpretation. And I don't want that to happen, because in my previous relationships,
and then you spiral.
I became this big bad guy just because I didn't fucking do or say or whatever it is. So it's like, you know, it just it becomes so fucking like drilled into you, you know what I mean? Especially, you know, not only from childhood, but I think earlier relationships, or especially dealing with like people who just have those trust issues. And, you know, again, it just puts you in this pocket where now you have to explain yourself. Now you have to fucking answer every single fucking question. And then because of how shitty it feels to get interrogated by one of your partners, now you're like, well, to avoid that, now I'm going to, you know what I mean? Then it goes from offering peace. Yeah, it goes from offering peace, which is like what it starts off as, is like, I'm over explaining because I'm trying to be peaceful and I'm trying to offer you, you know, no room for misjudgment or anything. But then it goes from that to like, now all my future relationships, I'm going to over explain to avoid friction, to avoid confrontation, to prevent. It becomes like, instead of it becoming something that you offered to this person, this fucking person who had trust issues or was asking a million questions, it goes from something that you gave them, which was like a privilege, or like, yo, like, I don't have to do this, but here. Yeah. It turns from that to now you doing it in future relationships as like preventative measures. And it just, I don't know, it just fucking sucks, man.
Well, because it's like you're looking for that reassurance that like you're okay, or what you did was okay, and looking for that validation from that other person to like clarify like, oh, okay, good job, or thank you. You know what I mean? Like, you're looking for some type of, it's like a give and take. Like, I gave you all this, but like, I need that validation back that like, this is what you wanted. And a lot of the time it's like, I didn't even need all that, but thank you.
Yeah.
You know
like,
I mean?
And again, it's just because of that trained freaking, you know, that trained behavior, that shit just like, it starts to become ingrained in the way that you communicate with people, because you're just so accustomed to people doubting you, or people not creating a safe space to where you were trusted and people didn't have belief in you. And, you know, it just strips you away from, what should be like a normal relationship, you know, normal connection with somebody, like, and puts you in a position where like people are just always assuming the worst from you, you know, like, and that just, it's so defeating, because, and that's what like I've been trying to do lately, is change that perspective. Like lately I just assume the worst, or assume the best. I want to say assume the best from people, because again, like, me assuming the worst out of you is just, I'm not even granting you the opportunity
to show me
or show me what the worst is. If I just assume the worst, then that means I already think you suck, and the whole time you could just be being fine, but because of how I'm thinking about you, or because of what I'm preemptively thinking about you, it's like you suck regardless. And then now it's like I'm putting you in a position where like you'll never be good enough to me because I just assume the worst of you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. To me, it's just a shitty way to think of anybody or connect with people. So like, I just been assuming the best of people lately. You know, my friends, I just, whatever, maybe they got this going on. It's cool. So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? No biggie. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just very cool and laid back now because of it. And I mean, that kind of brings us into our next point, which is kind of like the shift. You know what I mean? Like, when you start to realize that you don't really have to over explain yourself anymore. And I think it's essentially, like I said earlier, just that little bit of freedom, that little bit of break, that little bit of actual peace. Not what we thought peace was because we were over explaining ourselves and because that's what we felt brought us peace, but now we're not dealing with the exhaustion from it, you know, because of the shift. Yeah. You don't deal with the emotional exhaustion of communicating with people anymore, because you start surrounding yourself with people who just know. Like, you know, people just feel you. and you don't got to say much. You got people who just apologize now because they think they did some shit wrong.
I do that.
You don't, yeah, exactly. But that's what it is. I shouldn't have to explain that shit to you. Niggas should just know. You shouldn't. I don't want to have to surround myself with people that I have to act crazy and then I sound like I'm nuts. That's what used to piss me off about having to over-explain myself. Is like it would get to a point where not only was it exhausting, but now I sound like a crazy motherfucker. And I'm like, yo, bro, I'm tired of that. I got tired of it. So the shift, it just felt like now the level of communication I have with my circle and the people I'm around is just so much.
There's understanding.
Yeah, so much understanding, which brings me so much more calmness and peace within the relationships that I have with people. Yeah. What about you? What about when that shift started to hit for you?
I mean, I feel like in my healing, I've just learned that like really, I don't have to. I guess realizing that my feelings don't need approval of others, but also having that understanding that like people aren't going to always like respect or approve my feelings either, and that's okay. You know what I mean? Like everybody's going to have their own perspective of things at the end of the day, and it's like I can argue my point till I'm blue in the face, but that doesn't mean I'm going to gain that clarity from somebody else. It's about learning to, you know, set up healthy boundaries too for myself. And when, you know, you set up these boundaries, you put yourself in better positions to not be caught up in situations where you may need to feel that need to over-explain because you already set boundaries up in place in situations that like you may catch yourself doing it more often than not. Now that these boundaries are up, now I don't feel the need to. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just that balance.
Well, yeah, because I think when you start to let down your not let down your boundaries, but I would say let down your guard a bit, you start to genuinely trust yourself. And I think that's
a big one.
That's where, for me personally, that's where the start began, was trusting in my decisions, trusting in my intention.
Yeah, that's a big one for me.
And as long as I trust in myself and understand that I can't control how people interpret what I do, and then, you know, again, I don't need to justify shit to anyone. But as long as I'm trusting in my decisions and trusting in the intent of them and trusting in the outcome that I'm expecting from them, that's when I felt the need to let my guard down and not have these boundaries up where I felt like, well, if you ask this question, then I need to offer you a fucking essay as to why. No. We're not doing none of that. I don't need that. I don't need that boundary anymore. That boundary is not serving me. If anything, that boundary is exhausting me. So now I'm at the point where I just trust in the decisions that I'm making. I trust in the choices that I make. I trust that the people I surround myself with will also understand, support, and if need be, also I trust them to correct and also be like, yo, you're not doing what Johnny should be doing. You know what I mean? So I also know that as well. So because of that, I don't feel the need to, again, justify, over-explain, or anything of that nature, just because, again, it's not what you judge or what you feel or what y'all interpret. That's not for me to control, and I can't control that. The only thing I can control is the decisions that I make, the things that I say, the things that I do, and that's all I have control over of. And if I'm taking care of myself and it becomes visibly noticeable, or you guys see me doing better in life, all I ask is that you fucking give me a thumbs up, dude. Say good job. That's it. I don't need to justify shit. If I look like I'm doing good and I feel like I'm doing good, that's all that matters. If my family's good, that's all that matters. Mm-hmm. You know? So I got to that point where, again, that's the shift for me. The shift is like that little sense of freedom, that just feeling like I can make decisions without feeling like I'm stepping on nobody's toes.
Yeah.
Because for a while, it felt like decisions that I was making, somebody always had a fucking problem with it. Or somebody always felt some type of fucking way. And I just got tired of A, surrounding myself with those kind of people, B, having any form of communication with people who just can't just be fucking happy with what I got going on, or happy with what I'm doing. Like, they always feel like they gotta fucking try to manipulate it or shut it down, and I'm just tired of all that shit, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, it makes me reflect too, because like, even in you saying all that, and like, I've said the same thing, like, it's about me learning to trust myself within my own feelings, and knowing that I have the ability and the right to feel any type of way that I do. But it also boils down to like the changes that I make in my overall life, like the people I choose to hang out with, the decisions I make, like wanting to just be a better person, a good person. Because and then I look back at my older self and I look at decisions that I made, or the people that I chose to hang out with, or the things that I would do. And I can see why I would find myself in situations where people would question me or, you know, criticize me or whatever. And like in those moments, you know, I wasn't fully aware of like, you know, I was doing it to myself realistically. But that's where like that defensive mechanism came aboard, and like that's where a lot of my explaining came from, because I wasn't aware, like I wasn't being self-aware of the shitty behavior or shitty decisions that I was making. So instead I was trying to be defensive and like stand up for them basically, and be like, well, blah, 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 trying to defend what I'm doing to make it sound okay or make it sound like I was right, even though I wasn't. I didn't want to admit to that. I didn't want to acknowledge that. But now looking back, you know, I'm like, damn, like I was kind of fucked up for a lot of the shit that I did. And, you know, I hold myself fully accountable for that. And that's a big part in my healing journey, is that like I have to hold myself accountable for the shitty mistakes and the shitty decisions and the things that I've done in my past. I can't rewind time. I can't redo those things. I can't take them back. All I can do is use them as a guide to learn from. Like, I don't want to be that person. I want to be better. I want to be in a place where like I don't ever have to be questioned. I don't want to ever have to like over explain. Like if somebody asks me why I did something, because I'm trying to be a good person. That's the only reason. That's the only answer I need to give, or I want to give. Or, you know, like I'm trying to do this because I want to excel in my life. Like I want my answers now to just be positively driven, short, sweet, and to the point. I don't want to have to think about anything negative or feel the need to defend myself in any way, shape, or form, because I'm not choosing to make decisions that could be harmful to myself.
Yeah. And again, I think when people ask why, like, oftentimes I want to put myself in a position where asking the question, why not, is a harder one to answer.
I like that. Yeah.
You know, why? I could give you a million fucking reasons why I'm doing it, but why not is the better one.
Yeah, if you could give me a good reason why I shouldn't. Yeah, if you could
tell me why not, then okay, we could talk. But until then, respectfully, shut the fuck up. Because, again, it's like I want to be putting myself in positions, like you said, where I'm making decisions that are beneficial to me. Whether that's emotionally, spiritually, physically, whether it's helping in my healing journey, whether it's propelling me forward, or maybe I'm healing old traumas that are within me. These are all my whys, bro. These are all my whys. So, again, I have a million reasons why. But if you can give me a good one as to why not that holds just as much weight as my whys, I will listen. But until then, go find your whys and stop worrying about my whys. Because why?
Yeah, the only time I feel like, you know, explaining yourself, not that it's not necessary, but I feel like sometimes it's important, is like when you're trying to stand up for something that you believe in, you know what I mean? And having the understanding that like you explaining might not gain clarity for other people, but that doesn't make it wrong either.
Oh, of course.
You have every right to stand up for what you believe in and explain your point, but also don't feel the need to drag it either. Like you don't need people to agree with you at the end of the day. I was going to say, standing up for yourself is cool, and standing up to express your point is fine, as long as you're doing it in a way that doesn't demean or deteriorate anybody else's perspective. Yeah, not for you to gain agreeance. Because healthy debate is okay. Yeah. That's totally fine. But over-explaining yourself to try to shut somebody else down, that's some dickhead shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
It's just not necessary. And again, I agree with you wholeheartedly. If it's something that you're passionate about or something that like you stand up for or something you believe in, that's totally fine. Healthy debate. There's always, that is literally.
But direct it with respect.
But again, debating, right? We're talking about literally a type of conversation that requires explanation, factual support, things of that nature. That I completely understand.
And something that I've definitely learned recently is like when you get into those situations, once it gets to a point where like you've explained where you're coming from, and if the other person still feels the need to keep going and continuing to explain their side of things as if they're trying to get you in agreement with them, you don't have to go down that road. You can just be like, I'm done.
Yeah, we can agree to disagree. That's okay.
We don't need to keep going back and forth.
Yeah.
It's okay that you have a different perspective. This is mine, and
that's it.
We could just leave it at that.
Yeah, educate me. Don't try to. Here's the thing. I prefer to be educated than some. I would prefer someone
to learn.
I would prefer someone to try to educate me than try to convince me. Because when you try to educate me, it means you're trying to put me on and you're trying to give me the knowledge that would allow me to make an educated decision. When you're trying to convince me, you're like trying to convert me. You're trying to diminish whatever it is that I already have a perspective on and replace it with your perspective. Yeah. And I'm good on all that. So yeah, man, I truly enjoy the shift that we've gone through. And I just think, I'm just so happy about how beneficial it has been for us and the amount of freedom it's offered us. And I just love that, not just for myself, but like for you, because like I know like, early in our relationship, like our communication sucked, dude. And it was tough,
Crazy
like I'm especially happy for us and how we've grown together. And this is just one of those moments that I know we've grown in. And I know this episode just kind of hits a little bit different for us, Yeah. So I love that for us for sure. But yeah, man, you want to send them home?
Yeah, we have a question for them, right?
Yeah, guys, you already know. Shout out to all the feelers who be in tune. If you're new, I don't want to say I'm sorry for you, but I'll catch you up to speed really quick and get you in tune with the rest of the feelers who be locked in with us. We normally leave you guys with a question at the end of every episode that relates to the topic or to what we spoke about today. And we leave you guys with this question, so this way you guys can answer it on YouTube or on the socials or wherever you guys are listening to us from. So the question we want to leave you guys with is, what's one thing you're ready to stop explaining? I'm going to say it again. What's one thing you're ready to stop explaining?
I like that.
Drop it in the comments below, whether you're listening to us on YouTube or on the socials, because, again, you never know when the why in your story is silent and becomes our story. And until next time, guys, keep feeling,
keep sharing,
and keep it real
within the feels,
baby. Oula!
Ah!